This GCSE probability question was 8 marks in total. Let's make sure we can answer all of it, innit? Put the fries in a bag. There are only red and yellow sweets in a bag. There are N red, 8 yellow. Man like Sajid takes a sweet and eats it. Naughty. He says the probability that the sweet is red is 7/10. Part A, show it cannot be 7/10. Bro is boogin. You guys would never make a comment like that because it can't be true. Why is that the case? Well, there's N red and 8 yellow. So how many is there in total? Well, total there's N plus 8 sweets. What's the probability of it being red then? So you're randomly going to choose a red sweet. Think of it like this. If I had 20 sweets in a bag, only 3 of them are red, and I said, what's the probability of choosing red? You would say 3 red out of 20, okay? Now here we have N red. So the probability of choosing red then is N out of N plus 8. Now, he is saying that is equal to 7/10. And we're going to have to solve that, all right? How do we solve this? We have 2 denominators. We don't like solving with denominators. We're going to get rid of them, right? What does a denominator even mean? It means division, okay? So all we do is we protect with a bracket anything with more than one term. One term, one term, one term, 2 terms separated by the plus. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply both sides by both denominators. So that's going to be 10 and the N plus 8. Okay? So that 10 is going to go and the N plus 8 is going to go. So we have N times 10, which is 10N, is 7 lots of N plus 8. Let's expand. So you get 10N is 7N plus 56. Yeah, 7 times 8. And then we solve. So we get that positive 7N. We're going to move it to the other side. We're going to minus 7N. 10N minus 7N is 3N is 56. And here you can see that 56 is not a multiple of 3. So N is not an integer, which makes no sense. Okay? So 56 not a multiple of 3. Therefore, N is not a positive integer. Okay? And that's how we show or explain that it cannot be 7/10, because there's no positive integer N which allows us to get 7/10. But part B is saying after he takes one, he eats it. He takes a second, eats it. Mate, bro's going to need to visit the dentist soon. Given the probability that both are red is 3/5, find the number of red sweets in the bag originally. So here, guys, if you want, you can do a tree diagram. Now, the thing about doing a tree diagram here is you do not need to complete the full tree diagram. All right? So you have your first take and your second take, right? Now, you only need to do the probability of red because we're doing red, red. What's the probability of taking red? We just did that, right? It was N over N plus 8. Now, what's the probability of taking red again? Now, let's use numbers again. So remember when I said there was 3 red and 20 sweets? And we said, okay, the probability of picking red then is 3 out of 20. If we take another red, what would that probability be? Well, you've already eaten one, so there'll be 2 left, but there'll be 1 left in total. It'll be 19. You'd multiply those together. All right? So all you're doing is you're subtracting 1 from both the top and the bottom. And this is where students make a ton of mistakes, all right? So especially when there's a coefficient here, they subtract n from the top and the bottom, okay? So we subtract 1 from here would be n minus 1 over. Then here, when you take away 1, you get n plus 8 minus 1. 8 minus 1 is 7. So you get n plus 7. All right? Now, these two multiplied together give you 3/5, okay? And that's what we're going to have to solve. Now, just for space reasons, I'm going to remove these branches because they are not interesting to us. So, we have n over n plus 8 times n minus 1 over n plus 7 is 3/5. and let's solve. Now, we're going to protect with a bracket. We're just going to merge everything together, all right? Now, at the same time, if you guys want, you can start expanding. Because we're multiplying, we have n squared minus n divided by, here we have n squared. Here we have 7n, so I'm going to be a bit messy here, 7n. And then we have 8n. 7 plus 8 is 15. Then we have 8 times 7, 56. Is 3/5. Now remember, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to protect, and we're going to get rid of both denominators, right? So we're going to multiply both sides by 5. And we're going to multiply both sides by this horrible looking denominator. You guys might know this as cross multiplication, but I always show my students what's happening when we do that. When you guys get to A levels, you can just do your cross multiplication because you have a bit more understanding of when we can use it and when we can't, all right? So when we have a situation like this, yes, you can cross multiply, but if I give you more than one fraction, students just trying to cross multiply because that's all they know, all right? So we understand why we're doing this process, not just blindly doing stuff, okay? So here we expand. We have 5 times n squared, which is 5n squared. Then we have 5 times minus n is minus 5n is. Now here, the 5's cancel, right? We have 3n squared. We have 45n. And 3 times 56, which I don't want to have to do. It's not that bad, right? 5 times 50 is 150. 5 times 6 is 18, so you get 168. The next thing we're going to have to do is going to have to bring everything onto one side. Okay, so this positive 3n squared, we're going to move it over here. We're going to minus 3n squared. We're going to minus 45n. Yeah, we always bring the smaller n squared to the larger one, all right? So that positive 45 on the right is a negative 1 on the left, and then we're going to minus 168, okay? And then that would leave us with 0 on this side. So let's just delete what's going on up here. Carry on our working. We're obviously going to have to solve this quadratic. And let's do that. Hopefully it's not too bad. Something like this could definitely come up in a non-calculator paper. 5n squared minus 3n squared is 2n squared. Minus 5 minus 45 is minus 50. And we just have that minus 168. Don't be intimidated here. We can divide through by 2, okay? Giving us some nicer numbers to work with. So we have n squared minus 25n minus 84 is 0. And now we just have to think about what multiplies to give you 84 and then adds to give you 25. So let's just go through our list. We have 1 and 84, 2 and 42. 3 goes in 28 times. And that's going to be it, right? 3 goes into 8, 2. With the remainder 2, yeah. Okay, 3 and 28. And then 3, 28. To make minus 25, you need minus 28 plus 3. So either n plus 3 is 0, or n minus 28 is 0. Here you subtract the 3. A plus 3 on the left is a negative 3 on the right. But we know n cannot be minus 3. You can't have minus 3 sweets. Move that over. N is 28, and there we go. That's that 5-mark question done. Quite a tough question in terms of the algebra that comes after our original reasoning. But guys, that's a whole 8 marks, yeah, from a past paper question. You can't afford to lose these marks. So if you learned something today, I'd really appreciate if you hit the like button. Maybe save this video as part of a playlist on YouTube for probability. If you guys want to join the Lung Gang Reddit page and submit your own questions, link is in the description. And if you're interested in my GCSE courses, there is a link also in the description. I'll see you guys in the next video. Nice.